Uh, Stylific, it's that hard to see you couldn't find another chick doing it like me. This fashion game, I'm in my lane. They try to follow, but they all. Hey y'all, what's up? How y'all doing? Alright, so today I am going to be making a soup for Sunday's dinner, which is called Bouyon. This is basically normally the soup of the day for most Haitian households. Now you'll find that this soup is it's very similar to a lot of other Caribbean soups. So the ingredients I'm sure are going to be the same, but I'm going to show you how we do it over here. And hopefully at the end I make my mama proud. I'm also trying to prove my husband wrong because he believes that I can't do it. He's actually the cook of the house. So yeah, he's the one that I usually throw down, but I be dipping and dabbling every now and then. So anyways, let's get to the ingredients. This is green plantains, which we call banan. This is potatoes, which we call pomme de terre. Over here is spinach, which we call épinards. I don't know if I got the correct thing, y'all. I'm supposed to be getting, I think, watercress, which is, I think, queso, but I don't think that's what I got. We're just gonna make it do what it do with this. This is carrots, which we call coward, and then this, my friend, is a homemade herb seasoning. Now this is from my a line that my sister-in-law has created. All of it is all, like I said, homemade, made with love, natural ingredients. Now she does mix this free of any like seasonings like salt and things like that, mainly because, you know, those people that have underlying issues or underlying conditions such as hypertension, diabetes would still be able to enjoy this without having to worry about, you know, spiking up or going into sort of episode or anything like that. So yeah, so when you use this, you add your seasoning to taste. So check her out on Facebook is Flo Jackson, and on Instagram I'm sure I'm gonna find the information. I'll link it below, but definitely check her out. This bottle here is actually $5, and you can get a bigger one for $10. And like I said, it's all homemade natural ingredients. Well, here's your carrots, and then we call that coward over here. Oh, and then also we call usually when we make like these seasons herbal blends, we call those we call that épices. And everybody makes it different. So in her case, she made it without any additional seasons. Over here we have I'm just going to be using adobo. I believe this is complete seasoning, I'm not sure, but it doesn't mention. I'm going to use that, again trying to stay away from salt, a lot of salt. So I'm using this one. We usually also have the Mrs. Dash seasonings that doesn't have any salt, and then I like to add some hot sauce usually when I do my seasoning of my meat, so that's why that's there. And then this is your meat, which I'm going to go ahead and get started with the seasoning process. Which I'm pretty much gonna get started with the seasoning process. Basically, what I've done first is this is basically fresh beef stew meat that you put in stew soup. I got that from my local grocery store, and then I put some water in there just to kind of rinse it out before I start the process of the seasoning. And then hopefully I will be able to put my camera in a way where you guys will be able to see the process of everything, and then maybe I can just do a voiceover, right? So anyways, I forgot one of the most key ingredients when it comes to actually marinating or cleaning your meat in the Caribbean island culture. It's definitely making sure that you have some lime on hand. Some people use vinegar as well, but I think because this is beef meat and just type of meat that it is, I wouldn't want to use vinegar on this. So I just pretty much clean with the lime, and you'll see the process. But meanwhile, I will go ahead and put just squeeze some lime juice in here, and then put this piece of lime in the water that I had took out to boil, and the rest you'll see what I'm doing. This is what I basically do with the lime. Once I've cut the limes in half, I use each half of the lime to pretty much clean
clean the meat with it. So this added extra steps makes sure that you're removing any impurities, anything that shouldn't be on the meat. By us doing this extra step, we're pretty much, making sure that the meat has that extra, extra ability of being cleaned. And I'm going to basically do this throughout once, as soon as I get all the meat clean with the lime. The next step is another very important step in cleaning your meat. You'll see here that I've taken the water that was placed to the side, boiling with the lime. So of course, it does have to be at boiling temperature. And you know if the water is boiling because it starts to have the bubbling of the water. I basically went ahead and poured that onto the meat that I've cleaned with the lime. And again, this process pretty much helps to make sure that you are ridding the meat of any impurities. I've now started the marinating process. So you see that I've added the herbal seasoning. I went ahead and put this seasoning here that has no salt in there. And I'm just going to be adding the rest of the other seasonings that I did pull out in the beginning, which is the hot sauce, I believe the adobo as well. So now that I've put the marinating meat to the side to allow the seasonings to really get through the pores of the meat, that's how you keep it flavorful. You just kind of allow the marinade to sit there maybe for about, in my case, because I don't have all day, doing it maybe for about 15-20 minutes. Some people, when they're cooking their food, they allow their marinade to sit overnight. So it's really up to you. But in this case, I'm just pretty much allowing it to sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then I'm going to move on to the next thing, which will basically be working on the vegetables. I'll basically be skinning the potatoes, the plantains, the carrots, and then also washing out the the uh, the greens. Now, keep in mind also, I mean, everybody has different ways when they're cleaning and washing their vegetables, but nonetheless, you want to make sure that you are washing your vegetables before you cook them, because don't forget, a lot of these vegetables are being grown with pesticides and all types of things on your food. So just try to wash it as best as you can. Me, I keep my washing, which is what you see here, in the meat when it's cooking. I've decided to just incorporate it as part of my marinating process. For me, I just felt like it was a little bit more easier when it comes to the taste. Okay, so now we're gonna start getting to the good stuff. Here you see me basically pulling out my oil. Now, normally I would cook with olive oil. It's usually my oil of choice, again, because we're trying to do a little bit more of the healthy thing. But we were out, and this was the only one on hand, which I think is pretty good. It's pretty okay as well. But you can use whatever oil you want. I just had vegetable oil on hand, and I'm basically putting it into the pot. And I'm just going to be placing the meat in piece by piece, um, in a way so that all the meat is going to be able to be cooked. Now, I would say fried, but then in the end, you'll see that it kind of comes out more of a saute than frying. But nonetheless, just make sure that the meat is placed into the pot evenly so that all the meat can get cooked during the cooking process. Now, whenever you're doing the soup and you're adding meat into the soup, you want to make sure that you cook the meat separately. This is why I'm doing this way. This also can help with providing broth to your soup as well. So this is what I meant earlier when I said that even though it starts off like I'm frying the meat, but in the end with the juices and then me adding a little bit more water afterwards. I didn't add too much, just probably like I'd say less than a quarter of a cup. But I added it gradually. But you see how it comes out more of a saute than me frying it. I'm gonna basically allow the meat to cook in this manner where I'm going to be gradually adding water, maybe about a half a cup or so every like 5 or 10 minutes until it's enough broth to basically allow the meat to cook itself. And I will allow it to cook for about, I say between 20 and 30 minutes until we go into the next process. So as you can see here, we're now browsing through our next process, which is adding the vegetables. So now that the meat pretty much has cooked about 75% of the way through, we're going to now begin to add the vegetables. Now these, but like the vegetables that I've added in, like the carrots, the plantains, and the potatoes, they're added raw. So it is going to need you are going to need some time to allow this to cook down. The other issue that I had here, I realized that the pot that I began to use wasn't going to be big enough to hold the soup. I didn't have intentions of making the soup this amount of soup. But eventually you see that I'm going to switch it over to another pot. But you're just going to allow this to cook through, again, maybe about 30 to 40 minutes. So now we're going into washing the greens. I didn't wash them with the other vegetables because I didn't want them to wither. A good thing to keep in mind whenever you're dealing with vegetables, if you don't want them to wither, you can keep them in water. That helps to keep it from withering. But yeah, you can see here that I am cleaning or washing out my greens so that I can add them to the soup. Now, this part was actually the most challenging part of the whole process. I actually thought it would have been the most easiest part, but I learned too little too late that I was totally wrong. And you will see my mistakes and where I eventually figured it out. But this right here is it's, well, some household call it bull boy, dumb boy. It's similar to what the Jamaicans call dumpling, and it's basically a flour and water mixture that you mold into like particular shapes that you put into the soup. Now, the ingredients, as you just saw, is flour. You can use whatever flour you like. Salt. We have sea salt on hand. We're, like I mentioned before, we're trying to stay away from as much salt as possible. In this case, we just use sea salt. And then, of course, water. And what I did is in that little bowl that I showed you in the beginning, I put a little bit of water in there. I didn't measure it. It couldn't have been more than half a cup of water, and I put a little bit of salt in there. I would say about a teaspoon of salt into the water mixture. From there, I basically take that mixture and stir it together, mix it together, so that I can use it to mold the shape that I am going to need. Now, very key point. And again, you will see how I made that mistake. When you are doing this, you need to make sure that you are adding the water in very cautiously. So I would pretty much add, see how the consistency is, but you don't want to use a lot of water. Once you use a lot of water, it will allow the mixture to be too tacky, and it will not allow you to mold the bouillon. So add your water very sparingly. Don't do like I did, please. Learn from my mistake. I ended up having to try it again, until I got it together. But I eventually got it together. So I won't ramble too much. I'll sit and watch. Don't judge me, because this was definitely a learning curve for me. All right, so at this point, I've put the boy or the dumpling or however you want to call it in there. But as you guys already know, everything is trial and error. This is my first time pretty much doing this. And I realized why most people are usually doing those things really small, because obviously when they get in the water, they inflate. So hence why I have like these big chunks, and they're really not supposed to be this big. But like, see, this is the perfect size right here. And obviously this was one of the last small one that I had did. Everything else was so big, and it just made these big chunks. So so far that's the only thing right now that's kind of like but we're pretty much almost done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to I have this so now what I'm going to do is I have this pepper, and I pretty much put some cloves in there. I'm gonna drop that in there, but before I do that, I'm just going to put some seasoning, just whatever seasoning that you would like to put. Of course, put it to taste, you know, because everybody does things differently. So I'm gonna put a little bit of garlic salt in here. This is the Mrs. Dash that I was talking about that is salt free, and this one is original blend. So putting a little bit of that, and then back to this all. I told you that she does dry seasoning as well. So this is how the dry seasoning look. I actually have to open this, so I'm gonna have to do this off camera, and then I'll drop the pepper in there as well, and then I will let it cook, and then afterwards we should be ready to eat. Now this thing does take some time, hence why I'm not really a cook type of person, because I don't have the patience. I'm greedy, yeah, but I don't have the patience to sit here and cook, especially Haitian food, because that takes all day, literally all day. All right, so you guys, this is the finished product. So as you guys already know, there's the plantain, beef, this would be the dumpling, the carrots, and everything else. And you know, bon appetit. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and that you guys maybe try it or try your own soup and let me know how you guys do. And I'm gonna send this over to my mom, so she let me know how I did too later.